Hello everybody. Today in this lecture we are going to discuss what actually the big data analytics is and how to deal with all this. So first of all, before starting anything, we must know what we are going to do, why we are going to do, and how we will be dealing with that. So about this topic, first we are going to discuss what actually the big data analytics is, why we are going to deal with this, and how we will deal with this. First thing, what is big data or what is big data analytics? Big data analytics is the combination of two terms, big data and analytics, means analytics of big data. Now what is big data actually? In rest terms, you have studied about that when we deal with large volumes of data, that is big data. So one property is large volumes. Another thing is big data is comprised of 80% of unstructured data, means this data is the combination of structured as well as unstructured data. So that is variety of data. So that can be structured, that can be unstructured also, fine. And another thing is velocity, means the data which we are going to analyze has its property to change over the time, means the data is not archived always, that can change with the passage of time. So such type of data that is very large in volume, that is having multiple varieties, maybe structured, maybe unstructured. When we talk about unstructured, means that not having any structure, that can be in text form, that can be in JSON form, that can be in binary form, XML form, CSV form, comma separated values. I can mention over here CSV, XML, binary, even relational. These are the data formats, variety of data, and the velocity with the passage of time, the content of that data is going to be changed. So these type of data, the data which are having these properties, means volume, variety and velocity, known as the 3 V's of big data. These are termed, such type of data is termed as big data. So when we analyze this data, that is known as big data analytics, right? Another question is, why we are going to deal with this large volume, variety and velocity of data? Before that understanding, we must understand from where that big data is coming. What is that? Now as we know, we are surrounded with the word of SMAC model. I will discuss in detail what is SMAC model. There are multiple companies, multiple organizations which are generating data on a large pace, as we can say the retail industry, generating big food chains, generating big data over the time, network logs, social sites and many more. So these are some of the big data generating platforms which are generating large volume in a variety of data and which is having the velocity, right? So why we need to deal with this data? The thing is that to make the decision, for the decision making analytics, means to get the better from that, because let's have a case study. At a particular social site, there might be the feedback for some product, fine, there might be some criticism of that particular product, criticism, there might be some another feedbacks, reviews of that particular thing. So by analyzing that social site, by analyzing that blog, by analyzing that online content, in whatever way that is, the company that is dealing with that can analyze that how our product is being captured at particular time, at particular area or at some particular country. So for better decision making, take quick and prompt action over these inputs, we use this big data analytics. So up to now we have understood what actually the big data is and why we are going to deal with this. Now the thing is that how we will do this big data analytics, because whenever we are going to do something with data, we must have two things. First thing is we must have something storage, and for processing. Whenever I am talking about some data, I have to analyze, so I have two things in mind. First, there must be storage for that data and I must be capable to process that. Now in terms of big data, when that is very large in volume, variety in its inherent nature and velocity with the passage of time, how to store that? First thing, because we are considering under a column how we are going to do that. So for that, as it is unstructured data, the RDBMS may not be capable to handle that. So there are some different techniques to handle. Those are NoSQL databases, some Cassandra, MongoDB, Couch, etc. and the distributed file system provided by HDFS, Hadoop Distributed File System. Now if we have stored that into the distributed file system, we will have to think of about processing. What actually are the components which can deal with such distributed large data sets? So whether we will have to make the parallel programming framework to process this, right? Another thing, if we have some parallel framework which we can only use to analyze this data, so that is what? That is MapReduce. So we can understand that for storage we have multiple options as NoSQL databases, that can be MongoDB, Couch, Cassandra, HBase, many more, and another one is HDFS, Hadoop Distributed File System, that is driven by have its core in Google File System, right? From that this is driven, that Hadoop Distributed File System, and for processing we have MapReduce. If I talk about these components, MapReduce and HDFS, this component comes in a combined framework and that is known as Hadoop. Nowadays we have the strong phenomena to work over the Hadoop. So this is why in this scenario I have explained that what actually the big data is, why we are going to analyze to deal with that, and how we can deal with this. So the technical framework which is capable to handle such large data is the Hadoop framework, on which I am going to explain further that how Hadoop works and what actually the Hadoop is. As I already discussed, that Hadoop is the combination of HDFS plus MapReduce. It works one level above the local file system. So if I talk about, this is my below this I have my hardware component, right? So how the HDFS will be configured over here, how the Hadoop will be configured. So above this is all part of my local system. There lies one layer of HDFS, Hadoop Distributed File System. It works one layer above our local file system. That is for the storage of large data sets in distributed manner, means the HDFS will make a cluster which can span on more than one local systems. When the storage part is covered by HDFS, above that we will have a parallel programming framework that is known as MapReduce. So when a client wants to deal with some data from programming perspective, it makes a program in MapReduce framework. MapReduce initiates its processing and finds where actually that data resides in HDFS, and after that, that processing returns the result back to that MapReduce program and indirectly to the client. Above that also there are some scripting languages working about this MapReduce. Those are Pig, Hive, JQL and many more like this. Fine. To understand the internal architecture of HDFS, we are going in detail of all these, that how it handles, why only Hadoop, what is the special thing about this. Actually, what are the properties of Hadoop? Component of HDFS is partial failure support. Data recoverability. Component recoverability. Consistency and scalability. So how it provides, how HDFS provides these type of features which are essential to be held in the big data analytics framework. What actually this is, because due to its inherent nature, HDFS mainly have two components. Name node is actually the master node which contains metadata, and data node is the content which contains the actual data. Similar to that, this programming framework MapReduce also contains two components: job tracker and task tracker. So when some application comes to this framework, this MapReduce generates its master process, that is job tracker. Let it need some files that are stored in HDFS. So the job tracker will contact this name node because it has the metadata, that I want to work on the files, let's suppose file 1 and file 2, and these file 1 and file 2 will be stored in the form of blocks. Let's suppose file 1 has one block 1, 2 and file 2 has 3 blocks 3, 4, 5. So when job tracker queries to the name node regarding these files, this name node metadata gives the information of these blocks in the form of blocks, that where these blocks actually resides on data node. Fine. This can be, what will be the information over there, that file 1 is block 1 and 2 and the blocks file 2 is 3, 4 and 5, and where it actually resides, these resides, let's suppose these are six different data nodes. So due to the inherent nature of HDFS, that is having by default 3 replications, it will have these files in replicated manner in such a way that if the file blocks for file number 1, there are 1 and 2, these will be replicated block 1 over here and over here. Block number 2 will be replicated over here and here. There are various replication policies depending upon the location, nearest location, and many more things that will be the detailed description. So file number 2, similarly 3, 4 and 5 will be replicated in the same way. 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, 5, 5, 5. So this way we can see that our data blocks are replicated inside HDFS. Now let's discuss what is partial failure support. If I say that this block is completely out of the cluster at some particular time, means what was the content of this block? 1, 2 and 4, I have made in it dashed lines, means now this is not accessible, means the data content which was file 1, 2 and 4 blocks of data, these are not available on that particular data node. But can Hadoop, can HDFS recover these? Due to its inherent replication, 1 can be found from over here and here, 2 can be found from here and here, and 4 also from here and here. Means due to its multiple replication factors, this is the partial failure support. Similarly, data recoverability, it can recover the data over here. Component recoverability means if one data node or name node in the MapReduce Hadoop 1.0, name node is single point of failure, but later on with the advent of Hadoop 2.0, this is also not a single point of failure, means these components are recoverable. Another thing is consistency. To make all these consistent, there is single name node to interact with all those, and scalability. Hadoop HDFS is horizontally scalable. Means in parallel we can scale in or out the number of systems in this HDFS cluster according to our need. So this is cost effective scalable. We can add according to our needs, and that will be configured on that. So these properties are followed in this way. So according to programming, when master process will ask for some data clusters, it will contact this name node. Name node will give the allocation of file blocks, that it is at data node number this and data node number this. These task tracker will fire their programming on these, because these are the slave nodes, means, and after this they will return their results to the reducer process over there, that will combine all the results and give to the client. Means in a MapReduce program there are mapper which mapped, reducer and combiner, combine the result and output it to a client program. So that is all about Hadoop. Thank you.